the moment I knew I didn't care about the Sabbath anymore and being a Hebrew Israelite and the laws and everything like that is my son. When my son was in the hospital last summer for 30 days, he was 2 at the time, and it was hard, and he was crying a lot and whining a lot and throwing a lot of tantrums. How you in the hospital throwing tantrums? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I went to the coffee shop every single day. And I think the first Saturday I was there, I didn't get anything. But then the next Saturday I was there, I was like, I don't think I care about this anymore. And so I went down there and I got me some coffee. And I felt great. I got a Rice Krispie treat. And I didn't care. Ate some marshmallow. I didn't care. I just didn't care. And I had given up on the Bible probably 6 months prior. I had stopped reading the Bible. So there's like a certain freedom, I guess, of, kind of giving up on religion and somebody telling you what to do and how to feel. I guess there's a certain feeling of, okay, I am in control of my own life. I was always in control of my own life. It's just I gave up that control to follow a religion, and I'm choosing not to do that anymore. So, yeah, that's the moment when I was like, okay, yeah, I'm done. On top of that, I didn't have any food most of the time. Like, yeah, I had been in the hospital he had been in the hospital, and I'd been with him for a long time. So my family was coming on the weekend. My aunt came, my mom came, my stepdad, like, all my family and, friends had stopped by. And most of the time it was on a Saturday. And if they brought me food, like, I didn't care about that. Like, them spending their money to take care of me, I didn't care about that. And a couple of times my mom relieved me so I could leave on a Saturday to go and buy diapers, because my son was really sensitive, and he was still in diapers at the time. And the diapers they had were, was going to give him a rash. So I was going to get diapers and Chipotle and whatever else like I needed. So I just didn't care. It just didn't matter to me, And I think that's the moment I knew, like, okay, I'm officially done.
All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation, and that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, which brings us to our discussion / topic this evening tonight, all right? As you saw from the woman there, who basically said the reason why she stopped, becoming a Hebrew Israelite, which you really can't stop becoming a Hebrew Israelite, because that's what you're born into. You're born a Hebrew Israelite. It's not a practice or a religion in the sense that you can pick it up and put it down when you don't want to or when it feels convenient for you. You're born a Hebrew Israelite. Just like Moab is born Chinese or Ammon is born Japan, we are born Hebrew Israelites, all right? It's just that those of us that know, we practice and keep the commandments and statutes to the best of our ability, which brings us to our discussion tonight, okay? Because as you've seen from her quote-unquote testimony, because a woman cannot give a testimony, all right? If we being technical, because testimony goes into testes, and a man has testes, not a woman. But, Eve gonna do what she gonna do, and we gonna report on it. But giving her quote-unquote, what's another word for testimony? Giving her quote-unquote, I guess you can use testimony. She said she stopped becoming a Hebrew Israelite and nothing happened to her. All right, because she stated last year that she was in a hospital with her son and she had to eat, I guess, whatever food that was at the hospital, whether that was Rice Krispie treats from the vending machine or whatever, And I don't know whether or not she bought the food or they put stuff out for you to take, all right? And then her parents had to bring her food, but she had already decided in her mind prior to that, 6 months before, that she had already given it up. And she stated nothing happened to her. All right. So that was her so-called testimony of nothing happened bad to her as of yet, after she stopped, keeping the law, statutes, commandments, after she stopped practicing her heritage. Okay. And this is 2 Ezra 9:10. It says, for such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they had yet liberty. See, she believed that she has that free will, that nothing's bad happened to her since she's denounced being a Hebrew Israelite. But what she fails to realize is that we are under grace and mercy. All right. This is that period of time that the Lord is allowing us to get right with him before he brings forth judgment. Once his word is reeled in, the famine of the word. It says, and when as yet place of repentance, see, this is the time that we're in, to repent. It says, was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. So she despised it, okay? She found that she was a Hebrew Israelite. She practiced, our culture, keeping the law, statutes, commandments, because she said she was keeping the Sabbath, on a Saturday, and that, I guess she wanted to go out and buy Chipotle, or she wanted to buy her son some, specific type of diapers, and what have you. All right. But I guess she felt like keeping the Sabbath, because it says you're not supposed to buy and sell on the Sabbath, was being too much of a burden for her. All right. To the point that she just said she's going to give it up altogether. All right. When the scriptures clearly tell us to be what? Not over righteous. Okay. As Yahushua and the disciples, they were plucking and eating corn on the Sabbath. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Pharisees said, is it not lawful for a man to pluck corn on the Sabbath? And then Yahushua told them, have you not heard what David did when he went into the temple and ate the showbread on the Sabbath? All right. So saying that to say what? We try to keep the commandments to the best of our abilities. If we can prepare our food before the Sabbath come in, the weekly Sabbath, if we can prepare our food and get everything in order as we supposed to before the weekly Sabbath come in, then we do it to the best of our ability. All right. But the Lord understands. That's why he's given us grace and mercy to get right with him. All right. We don't just go out and deliberately sin. Okay. We don't go forth outright and, deliberately buy and sell on the Sabbath. Okay. When we had all the time in the world throughout the whole week, that's what the week was preparing us for the Sabbath. All right. 6 days do you supposed to get everything in, and then on the Sabbath you rest. Okay. That's the whole thing. The whole week is to prepare you for the day of rest, the Sabbath. Okay. But we are in captivity. All right. So this is why the Lord giving us that grace, that mercy. Okay. But see, she didn't understand that. So she dropped the plow. All right. Or, figuratively speaking, she stopped trying to keep the commandments to the best of her ability. All right. And she claims that nothing as of now bad happened to her. All right. Justifying that what she thought she was doing was pointless because there's nothing that's happened that she didn't do then that's not happening now. All right. But little do she know, and others like her, that we're in mercy. We're under grace and mercy, and there is no free will. It says, verse 12, the same must know it after death by pain. See? So there's going to come a time when judgment goes out. Okay. And if you sin, you're going to be judged. All right. Once this word has fully achieved what it set out to do, and that's to seal the elect, then the judgment comes. Okay. And we're vastly approaching that time. Okay. So just because nothing doesn't happen to you right away, as it tells us in Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, doesn't mean it isn't going to happen to you. Okay. Let's go there and read that. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, and verse 11. It reads, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. So now she doesn't even keep the Sabbath. She doesn't even, claim that she's a Hebrew Israelite. She says she no longer, sees the need to follow or to, practice the heritage, to rehearse the righteous acts, as it says in Judges 5 and 11. She doesn't need to do any of that anymore. Because why? She came to the conclusion that she has the free will to do whatever she wants, okay? And why is that? Because she's gotten away with so much without happening to her that she's associated that with having the ability to think and do for her own, to be self-willed, all right? But little do she know she's being deceived. The Lord has put a strong delusion on her that she may believe a lie. And the lie that she's telling herself is perpetuated by Satan, the spiritual demon Satan that's dwelling within her. It says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. See? So at one point, she did have a fear of the Lord. She kept the Sabbath to the best of her ability. But as she said, when she was in the hospital with her son last year, and she couldn't get the things that she needed, and she started buying stuff and going to Chipotle, and things of that magnitude, she seen nothing happen to her, and she just said to herself, I don't need to keep it anymore. All right. I had already came to that conclusion 6 months before then. And I guess that just really solidified that she could do whatever she want without consequences being, dished out at the time. All right. But yeah, certain situations, it tells us not to be over righteous. All right. So Ecclesiastes 7 and 16. This is Ecclesiastes 7 and 16. It reads, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? See? So here it is. Your son is in the hospital, and he needs diapers, and, he's got sensitive skin. So you can go buy him some diapers. All right. You can go buy him some diapers. Okay. You have to use discernment. All right. Now, we're not supposed to buy and sell on the Sabbath. All right. And we're supposed to get everything done leading up into the Sabbath. But in an emergency, that's when mercy and grace comes in. Okay. We're not deliberately out here doing it. Okay. Now, if you waited to the last second and you knew that you could have got it done beforehand, then that's something totally different. You being what they would call a slugger or slothful. All right. You got to get everything done before the Sabbath comes in. All right. Which is the 6th day going into the 7th. All right. 6 days you what? You work. And then on the 7th, which is the Sabbath at sunset, you observe the Sabbath. Okay. So if there's certain circumstances where you can't get that done, then guess what? That's when grace and mercy comes into effect. Okay. That's why it says, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Okay. And I can speak on that firsthand. All right. I had someone that I was, looking out for, and they didn't have the means where they could get around. They were, let's just say, immobile. Okay. And I had to sometimes go out and get things for them on the Sabbath. All right. Because why? They couldn't move around on their own. Okay. And that was the only time that they can get something. All right. So the Lord understands. That's why he gives us mercy and grace. Because why? He knows our heart. He knows our mind. He knows whether or not we're doing right. But when you deliberately do something that's going against the law, and you don't even try to keep it to the best of your ability, well, that's when something totally different occurs, okay? That's when you sin what they would call willfully, all right? And then there remains no more sacrifice for that sin, okay? So be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? See? And that's what happened. She destroyed herself. She destroyed herself, man. All right? She destroyed herself to the point that she says she no longer, believes that she's a Hebrew Israelite, or she no longer observed that she's a Hebrew Israelite, according to her, quote unquote testimony. Okay? So this is Hebrews 10. And where we at? Hebrews 10 and verse, is it 26? Yeah, Hebrews 10 and 26. It reads, for if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remain no more sacrifice for sin. See? And now she knows, or at one point in time, she knew that she was a Hebrew Israelite and she believed it. So now there is no sacrifice for her sins, and others alike that believe they got that free will demon spirit on them. All right? See? They're going to all have to pay for it, okay? There's no getting away from judgment, okay? So those that think as she does and others alike, they're going to get judged too, especially if they're here in America, all right? And we on the edge of that judgment coming to all of the land, all of America, all right? It says, where we at? 26, it says, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, right? So that takes away what Yahweh came and died on the cross for. When you go out and you deliberately, sin against the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, that takes away the sacrifice because you knew better, all right? You didn't even make a conscious attempt or effort to try to do better, all right? You let the pressure mount up and fold and break you, okay? Because you wanted to what? Eat a hot Chipotle bowl or what have you, when you could have just, made you some sandwiches, all right? And then you making it seem like the Sabbath is 72 hours. It's only 24 hours. It's only one day, all right? So it says, verse 31, Hebrews 10 and 31, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, see? And those that are fighting to endure to the end understands that, all right? Which is why we try to do everything to the best of our ability, all right? Lord willing, Abaratasa, Father will, all right? Because we don't want to fall into the hands of the true and living power, Yahweh, all right? The King of terror, all right? Because, hey, he can jack you up worse than what you think he can, okay? So we do everything to our ability that's allowed to us, or what our allot is allowed to us to do. All right? This is Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10. This is Revelation 3 and 10. It reads this, because thou hast kept my word in patience. See, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. See? So you're going to see what happens when you take this truth lightly. You've received this marvelous light. You came into the marvelous light, but you rejected it. All right? You only endured for a while. Okay? See? And then you only going to find out that going back into the world, there ain't nothing that you was missing. Now she's back into the world, and now what? What have she accomplished or achieved since, quote unquote, leaving the truth? Not a damn thing, man. She's still in the same predicament she was in back then. And more than likely, it's just getting worse for her. All right? So it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And just imagine once that rolls around, once the mark of the beast comes, and then she's going to try to get back right with the Lord. I can see it now. I don't even know if she have the names right. She probably call on Yah or someone else, but let's say she has the names, what is she going to do in that day? She's going to try to call on to the Lord, and he ain't going to answer. He ain't going to hear her, man, because the Lord doesn't hear the voice of sinners. It says, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world. See, this is going to happen against everyone here in the planet Earth, all right? When that hour of temptation comes, it's going to try everyone, all right, including the other nations, all right? But only Jacob, Israel, is going to be saved out of it, and to be more specific, the elect of Israel. It says, to try them that dwell upon the earth, see? So if she think, if she think what she went through last year was something, just wait. Just wait and see once the hour of temptation comes. And now, I don't know what happened to her son, if it's something that's terminal or if it's something that's just temporarily, but if it's something that's required for her to keep going back and forth to the hospital, just wait till the hour of temptation comes. And they say, in order for you to receive treatment for your son, you got to get chipped. And then we're going to see what happened then. All right, we're going to see what happened when she want to eat that Chipotle bowl then. See, we're going to see what happened when she want to get that Rice Krispie treat out of that vending machine then. All right, when she can't use money no more. When she got to go get that chip. All right, and then at that point moving forward, we're going to see what happened to her free will. All right, because if she had free will, she would be able to what? Withstand that urge to go out and get that chip. All right, but she doesn't, because why? Free will is a lie. All right, told to us by who? The Christian church for the most part. All right, so we shall see. And others like her. All right, they're going to find out whether or not they have free will when that hour of temptation come to try the whole earth. We're going to see. If she has free will, she will be able to resist it. And we're going to see, just how much of that free will she got and she obtained since leaving the truth, because she didn't see anything that took difference or took place when she stopped observing the Sabbath. All right, so we're going to see how much of that free will she has when the hour of temptation comes to try the whole earth, okay? So let's see, is there anything else? I believe that might be it. Is that it? Yeah, let's go ahead and close out. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See? Understand that this truth is about enduring, okay? It's not about just coming up and hearing the word. You got to, what? Apply it. You got to be not just hearers of the word, but it says what? Doers, okay? So it says, be sober, be vigilant. If you hear the word, that doesn't secure your spot on the chariot, okay? Just because you hear the word, you have to be what? A doer of the word, and more likely, if you are, then that means you're going to be more than likely an elect member, and you're going to receive salvation. So it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, and you see the devil, it got into her head, told her that nothing happened. All right. Here it is. You done bought food from the vending machine. You done went and got Chipotle. You done went and bought diapers. You done went and did all this and nothing bad happened to you. See? So go ahead and just stop doing it all together. All right. That's Satan that worked on her mind, man. And we know the woman is the weaker vessel. All right. That's why he was able to play on her in the garden. Okay. It says, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right. So we got to stay vigilant and continue to be sober. All right. Stay in this truth, because there's nothing outside of this truth that's going to give us salvation. All right. So we're going to end on that note. And with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.